What up, what up? It's the Shambler versus Hamster. Yeah, that's right, we're doing ZVZ. This time around, we're starting things off on Derelict. And it's Christmas time, so you enjoy the celebrations. We've got the Shambler in the top right. We've got Hamster in the bottom left. Even the goddamn motherfucking eggs have hats. Now, obviously, this was played some time ago. It was actually before December. But it was on a identical patch for Zerg, at the very least, compared to what we have now for Ascension number 7. So this will be good practice for both of these players in their ZVZs. And for those who don't know how the bracket shaped out for playoffs, we have one Terran, it's Nablime. We have, what is that, 4 Protoss players in 3 Crow, Hapsaya, Sarcasm, Veek, oh actually 5 with Biddy B. And then we have 2 Zergs in the Shambler and Hamster. Is that because Toss still needs to be nerfed? You can comment below as the workers exchange merry little jingles there. Ooh, tickled by the Shambler. He's actually chasing him all the way back, which is a little silly. I feel like he might not have noticed that. Or he really wants to kill the worker. I'm not 100% sure which. Oh, I see. I see what he's doing. Yep. Alright, see you, dude. Well, this is goofy. You. Now, what could possibly happen now? What could possibly... What kind of trick is this? I can't believe this is going to get submitted. You. Alright, well. He's never been double Kager dropped before. Amusing. Well, you do need a U to spell that word. I didn't think this was going to be super cheesy, to be honest, but here we are. The problem is there's already 2 pairs of Zeths coming. And those take about 14 seconds, so... Yeah, Shambler's kind of shit out of luck here, right? He's adding a Circuit defensively. He has no money over here, no workers, because he needs 100 minerals to get these into Circuits. And here we go. Zeths are on the hunt. They spot those Santa-bearing overlords. Yeah, look, they come bearing gifts. Where's the reaction here? What would I do? Okay, yeah, we'll just do that. What the fuck? What is he doing? No. That's it. Oh, okay. Dude, what is Shambler doing? Seriously? What is he doing? He's melting. I swear this replay is the right version. Okay, alright, we'll just see you later. Zeth's moving across the map with their Santa hats on. Quasi's on the way. Yeah. I mean, this version obviously is before we have the replay and witness mode production tab. Or like production view. So that is its own amusing situation. Now, Circuits have a lot of armor and a lot of HP. So, you know, he's in a pretty good spot there. Here we go. The tickling is beginning. Oh, Shambler. If you get into a normal game from this, Hamster is really just going to have been psychologically traumatized. Oh, off they go. You can see here that they're stacking, right? And that's one of the cases where it's like very clearly we need to fix or improve or adjust certain details about this stuff, so. Now, the Zeths aren't here, and the Circuit did finish, so that is kind of a little bit of a problem here because, right, like he didn't have additional Zeths over here. Perhaps not respecting the potential for this. And the way that they're positioned, even if they weren't stacked, would still be really quite difficult to break, right? Because you're going to get, like, maybe you can fit, like, 3 or 4 Zeths over here if you, like, kite them in. And then you have this stuff over here where they're protecting each other. So I don't actually think that could be broken. Maybe if he has a Vorv, then he can, like, ensnare them, right? So he does have a couple of those. I'd say he needs to get on it, because his hatch is going to die otherwise. So he's biding his time. And obviously the other thing he could choose to do is just overwhelm Shambler's position. But he's not going to do that. He's going to go ahead and go for the surround. He does pick off the first one quite easily. He could have a Vorv on this top one, but it's not going to happen. And he saves the hatch. So he not only saves the hatch, but he saves pretty much all of the units that he had. And now he can just go across the map and end the game. But I appreciate Shambler trying to introduce him to the total tism. I do like leaving the 2 Zeths here as well, since one of the Kagrants is still alive, but it's very, very low. We only have the 1 Circuit over here, Shambler gambling that maybe he's not not going to do it. And taking an Expo now with a macro hatch in the main. We got that coming up here for Hamster as well, so he's going to have the production advantage. He's going to maintain the production advantage, really. Unfortunately for Hamster, he's kind of out of sync with his army here. And a bunch of Quasis just come over. But you can just step on this Hacharosk, right? Like, what are they going to do? Try to engage you in open ground? It seems kind of unlikely. So, more workers saturating out that base. And, yeah, not being able to deny the natural is kind of the death sentence for Shambler, or should be. So there you go. He even gets his denied. It's not canceled. Hamster now has a lot of extra money. He should be able to repulse this attack, judging by the number of Quasis he has. And he does deploy the Kagrin over here for the purpose of controlling the ramp. But he's going to be really far behind in terms of production, in terms of, you know, all sorts of stuff, right? So eventually he's going to be far behind in terms of Vespene as well. I feel like there's like a default rally point. No, I guess not. Maybe not. I thought there was a default rally point because the Zeths kept coming over here. Well, just seeing that there is a 13 Quas move out. There's a lot more Quasis being made. I wouldn't say Shambler is exactly all in from this position, but obviously he's very far behind in workers, and he's now down. He's still down a base. So when you see that many, you think, okay, I'm going to put some static defense down, right? Armor does hurt the Quasilisk. It only has 1 armor pen, but it has 2 attacks. So as a result of that, you're going to be in for a real treat. I guess the Quasi used to be taller, and so I have to adjust the coordinates of the where the Santa hat is overlaid. I'll have to fix that at some point, because it's kind of levitating above their head a little bit. Circuit's finishing here with a bunch of Quasis. I feel like when Shambler gets held here, right, he won't necessarily give up, but he should feel like he's very far behind at this point, right? He wasn't able to really do any meaningful damage. Ends up losing, yeah, something like 7 or 8 Quasis. He kills 4. That's obviously a bad trade by itself, but he also didn't, like, force a lot of the larvae to be military, right? So there's still more workers coming in the next rotation. Ovoleth's going to be used for scouting. By the way, since you can't tell what the enemy has unless you detect them, you can, if you detect an Ovoleth, right, then you can actually click on them and see if it's empty here, then it's fine. But if you don't see, if you see something in the transport UI, that's how you know they still have something loaded in. Most people aren't going to be familiar with that, but it looks like Shambler and Hamster are both doing their best at this point to... oh, there goes one of the Ovoleths. They're doing their best at this point to try to secure the middle of the map. They're both familiar with how important this is. But this is actually a pretty nice spot for Shambler to station his Quasis. But yeah, as you can see here, there can just be a massacre. Droll on droll violence. What is that? There's only one worker going down, surprisingly. And now the cliff advantage is in favor of Hamster, and so what can you do? Shambler's kind of in an awkward spot here. He's now getting his coal out of the geyser. Big fan of that. But obviously this is going to be a huge spike in favor of Hamster. So we'll see. He's about to... Yeah, he has enough. He doesn't have enough minerals, but he has enough. Because he added that extra hatch, so he's actually on... Is this... Yeah, this is 4 hatch production versus only 3. And it looks like Quasi Wars right now. Nobody wanting to go into Heavy Zeth or any other tech. Yeah, again, the fact that Shambler has made this into a standard game is probably just because Hamster has no idea, like, what that strategy is. He's never been introduced to it. And look at this. This is an interesting play. I mean, I don't think it's actually going to work out, but I like the idea. It's just Hamster's thinking, okay, I'm just going to charge into this natural. The problem is he's going to be face first with a bunch of other units, and he's no longer paying attention to the micros. He's actually losing 2 battles at once, which means he no longer has the pressure to hold the middle. I'm not sure Shambler has recognized that. But he is sending his big... Yeah, he's sending his bigger army over there, which is fine. But it's already done the damage, right? Look at the gas differential here. We've got 1,000 gas difference, basically, for Hamster. And he still has been so heavily committed on mineral spending that he only now is going to be able to throw down his tier 2. And there it goes. He has some Kagrints over here, but he's... I think it's fine to not mutate them for now. I think even like a couple of orbs would do his army really well versus the Quasis, because the first salvo would be eaten up, and then you can actually encroach upon such positions. But it doesn't look like it's something that Hamster is too keen on right now. And the army for Shambler is much bigger. He can eventually bust this one circuit. It's just because it's only one, right? So what's the play here? Shambler now starting to see if he can catch back up in Vespene. And, you know, again, Hamster could have had tier 2 a lot sooner. But it wasn't going to happen. I think with the next round or set of rounds of units coming out here for the Shambler, he might actually attempt something. But if anything, if nothing else, he's containing his opponent. It's just a question of can his opponent do anything about that situation, right? So, yeah, we'll see. I'm still waiting for different tech to start showing up for our players. But they both seem pretty content. We finally have the RLRS coming for Shambler. He's not as far behind as he should be, given the situation. He's actually ahead on workers now. And, of course, on military. But far behind in terms of tech pacing. Already a Calcure Pawn coming. A bunch of Kafralosks. That's where the extra gas was sent. And, you know, discovering or rediscovering the containment. That's fine. Shambler just trying to spot for any air units leaving the base. Yeah, he's doing pretty well. This is what you would want to do on this map. Is station some units in different areas so you can basically have a perfect cone of vision around. So if any air units leave the building, you're already immediately familiar with that. But with the Kafralosks coming, I guess it'll probably be Calculusk. The only thing is that I feel like Hamster can't really produce enough of them fast enough because the Mutat Spire is already coming. Let's see what he does. Yeah, it's going to be Calcs. Couple of gnats come in here, but there's he's gonna spot the units, right? And that's fine. He's gonna spot the production. None of them actually die. Unbelievable. More circuits are being made. Obviously, you can double mutate these. Absolutely slapped. Yeah, I feel like these could be double mutated at this point, no? Maybe Hamster being a little cautious on that front. But he does have a bunch of calcs. I just don't think it's going to be enough, right? Mutath is done, so Shambler can start going into higher tier. He's actually making 2 of his own Kafralosks, although for what, I'm not sure. I guess he's also in favor of having... Yeah, I just noticed the hats on the larvae. Yeah, Quasis don't defeat mass... Calculusks don't defeat this number of Quasis on their own, and Hamster's being very, sort of like inconsiderate about that right now. We just have a whole host of other combat units coming for Shambler. It's going to be Muta and Calc. Middle of the map is going to be cleared finally. This probably should have been done a lot sooner with like Gnats or something. I feel like that's another situation where Hamster might be able to tighten up his gameplay as if he clears that out a lot faster. That would be useful. But this is also not the most recent ZVZ, right? Like I said, this is a little bit earlier in the chronology. Now, the Quasis are going to do a good frontline job for the Calcs. He does need to deal with the circuit, of course, but it's a finite resource, but it's plentiful right now in terms of the number of Quasis. He just doesn't have that many Calculusks, right? He's got more coming, so this is still a dangerous position. Shambler is, though, hatching his own sets of splash damage. I don't know about mutating that. That seems like a bit of an invitation for disaster, but some of the Calculusks frontlining a little bit and still locked onto that. The Quasi count is just too high, though. And I feel like maybe Hamster was able to clutch it out in the end anyway. However, there are some advanced anti-air defenses, and these don't regress, so that is going to be a bit of a problem. 4 Quasis on the top rope. Or Mutas, rather. Calcas. Whatever. Calculusks, as Benza once called them. Yeah. Okay, the number is growing a little bit here. And we have more units for Hamster, but he's got to rally them. He's got to grab them and send them up. And he's taking a 3rd base, and that's all well and good. Shambler being a little ballsy, almost losing a Muta. 1 or 2 more hits from the Calc would have done it. Trying to set up some circuits on the low ground now that his ramp is no longer with us. Battle Droleth. But the Calculusks are going to migrate over. There's actually no anti-air in the main, so I wonder if Shambler is even cognizant of this. He might just barely see it on the edge of the periphery of his Mutas here. It doesn't look like he did, even though I think he technically did have vision. Going to go ahead and try to commit over here, but not too many Quasis this time around. He needs a little bit more fodder, I feel like. And the hatch on the ramp is there. He no longer has any Ovoleths. And a bunch of workers are going to start going down over here in the main. Where's the reaction? He needs his own Calculusks to get over there. Problem is, it's still quite possible to damage the workers if you line them up properly, even when they're burrowed. It's an advantage of the Calculusk. But it's also very slow. So that's a disadvantage of the Calculus. Now, there are 9 more of them over here, and they're spotting out the mutas. Obviously, the sort of penetration damage definitely helps them versus mutas. You can see how fast the HP bars are decreasing here. All 9 of them survive. That's obviously a very big deal. These two somehow got away as well. And so, obviously, Shambler has more of them right now, but it's a lot. I feel like they're opting in again to, like, something very trepidatious. I would be very worried about that. It's kind of interesting, though, that they're going for, at least Hamster is going for, like, the forward anti-air. It's sort of like what we see out of the Shambler. Now, if you come over there, like, the lack of armor pen means Spear Tits are going to stay alive for so long, and they're going to bounce attack. So, you know, he's kind of insulated in that way, although he only has the couple here. You can see the empty present boxes mean that there's depleted minerals in the main. So, Hamster now going to have to think about that. Now, he is on an attack move here, but he's only got 6 Calcas to the 16 of the Shambler. But here's the problem, right? The Spear Tith is going to absorb so much more damage thanks to its armor. So 14 of them. 2 of them have gone down. Many are actually low. Good response from Hamster so far, but I still would like his position better were he able to actually secure some kind of tech advantage and maybe some additional bases. Going for the back to the swamp now. He made the Zorkas, which is kind of curious. I wonder if he was just trying to use Gorgs or something as like a tank or a meat shield. The Nathracores are not very useful, and Shambler balled up most of his calcs. Now, the same can kind of be said about Hamster here. He needs to split those up a little bit if he wants to take this fight. There's only 12 here for either player. Make that 11 now for Hamster, as one of them does go down. But this is still winnable for either side, right? It's down to positioning more than anything else. Now, the other thing here is that both players are going to go up to 3 Kaffirlosks. Shambler's already there. And now, yeah, another base over there for the natural. Not a bad shout. Or for the third, I should say. Okay. Shambler very, very low on Vespi, and Hamster swimming in minerals right now. Neither player trying to take the middle of the map anymore. Something that you would have to do, by the way, is either destroy the treasury and rebuild a hatch there to spread Kagra, or, you know, Avaleth drop the Kagrans. I will say map control definitely favored for Shambler here, especially as Hamster moves most of his units down there to the bottom right. These 12 Calculists can absolutely do some damage, make it 14 now. They're taking a long time, again, to kill the Spear Tith, and then the Spraith, and then the Kagran, if they even want to go for it. And that stalls them out so much. They only kill some incidental workers, well, some, it's still 6, but at the same time, they end up conceding a lot of value there. This Quasi can also go down if Hamster realizes it's there. That would just be the last sort of point of additional map vision available for Shambler. And I talk about that a lot. I think psychologically, when you have literally no vision of the enemy base, you play just so very differently. Now, another round of, 13 Calculisks is going down while these ones return home. So the actual number right now is 24, right? It's a pretty legit number of Calcs. The question is, you know, do the Bactylisks with their 2 armor, are they going to be able to stay alive long enough, right? Because here's more Calculisks. And a little bit of a sandwich play if those ones at 6 o'clock come down. Now, 17 Calculisks. I don't need to tell you how this one ends. It's just that it's more about the positioning than the number, honestly. And now this is the point where, obviously, Shambler can be in a really tight spot. Here comes some Viths. The 2 armor is going to be pretty legit for them, but it's not going to be that much at the end of the day. Really, what matters is you get a salvo on multiple targets, right? Because when that happens, you just remove the armor from all the calcs stacked. And, yeah, all that said, the Spear Tith stays alive. He might even want to kill it with his own calcs just to remorph it, so it's back at full HP again. It's a mineral-only cost. So it might not be too bad. I'm looking around the map looking for, like, where the players drawing their attention to, right? 6 o'clock is set up now, as is 3, but neither of them really mining right now. And it's just, yeah, it's an all-in committal onto Calculisks as Shambler caps his gas in the natural and in the third. We don't see that happening for Hamster at all. But he has more geysers to harvest from. And he doesn't have that many calcs, so that's the kind of problem here. Definitely needs a little bit more of that. But you can see now his base down here wasn't actually able to get set up, so he needs to come back down after cleaning this fight up. And he does do so. The Vith's frontlining, not a bad shout. Trying to focus down. It looks like the Calculus, but it's not going to be enough. There goes all of those. There's still 2 more over to the side. But yeah, at this point, Hamster can just set up more anti-air defenses, and it's going to be a lot harder for a pure calc army to fight. And this is like actually what I like to see as the designer, is that the guy who's doing nothing but building the same unit, the one unit over and over again, is losing to the guy who's adding other units, Bactylisks, Vithrilisks, that sort of thing. Like, that makes a lot more sense to me from a strategic standpoint, right? And I agree. No! What the fuck? So he's adding a lot of static defense. This is what Shambler usually does. So I don't know. That's pretty funny. Ooh. Bopped in the last shot. I don't know. I'm looking at this map state, and it definitely feels like Hamster has had the economic advantage for pretty much all of the game. And for the one exception was when Shambler had taken this for like 2-3 minutes. But Hamster had already taken it for about the same amount of time, maybe a little bit less. So it kind of felt like it didn't really matter too much. He has been idling his workers a lot, though, I will say. So we'll have to see him. Yeah, he's setting up his gas mining, getting the rest of the mineral guys on. Calculisks off to the side. Calculisks up here. Big surprise, right? One Calculus going to be pathing over here. Honestly, I would have preferred the Naths at this point. Nice stack of Calc Vith over here, though. Unfortunately, they are in a ball right now. Yeah, the Vith positioning here a little bit caught off guard. The Viths need to kind of like lead a little bit versus Calcs, and the movement speed doesn't really give you that benefit, right? Now, there's a bunch of Bactyls over here, though. So it looks like 9 o'clock will be forced off again. But what's he going to do, you know, now that Hamster's capped the gas over here? 3 o'clock is shut down, so Shambler's still stuck on 3 bases. This wasn't really mining for that long anyway. And here come the Bactylisks to respond to this. Yeah, he's not going to be able to get through. He only now, after all that effort with so many Calcs, was able to break 1 Spear Tith, right? Like, that's really underscoring in my mind. And look how long it takes these Calcs to kill the Hatch, too. It's like, they are not building killers, right? You definitely need to worry about them if they're sticking around for a long, long time. But that's just... No, man, that's too bad. I feel like Shambler has really bought a little too deep into this. And maybe this is like an eye-opening fight for him, where he's like, what the fuck? I'm building the OP unit. Why ain't it working? And now he's like, slowly, the needle is turning that there's actual counterplay to this. And it comes in the form of armor, mostly, but also, I mean, the name of the game so far, the story has been, you know, positioning as well as tech. And with the Bactylisks moving out now, I don't think that the Calcs can really do much about that situation, to be honest. Like, I guess the one thing is that the Scorchriths can respond to this threat, most likely. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you know, he just commits pretty hard to killing 9 o'clock. He's got 1 Calc spotting 12. There's a couple of these over here that I think Shambler forgot about. And yeah, it's actually only anti-air right now, so he can just move the Calcs away and... Well, he could. I guess he doesn't want to. He's just going to commit onto it. I like the Vith out here. I don't think it was intentional, but I kind of like it because it's like, it forces you to take a stack or two of the armor shred, and then suddenly the Calcs have become a lot more dangerous, right? Again, balling up here, Shambler in a much worse position in terms of his stack. The Bactylis doing a lot of damage. I think losing this army somewhat decisively here with the Bactylisk still here, that might convince Shambler that all is for naught. I mean, he's trying to buy enough time. He still has a lot of static defense, but yeah, okay, they're both sort of thinking about tier 3 with this amount of S being here. I think Shambler's going to do it a little bit sooner, if I'm not mistaken, because Hamster hasn't really looked at his base. He's got some Tets coming up here. They're just sort of shrugging off all the Calculisks. That's funny. Okay, they both actually do it at around the same time. I think Shambler's just like ever so slightly faster. Yeah, not by much. So that's kind of funny. Dude, these 4 Droleths have been here for a while. Oh, he was harvesting some Vespian over here as well. And Hamster just has so much more money, right? Like, he's trying to get up to another base at this point, and then he can go ahead and probably secure this gas cap as well. And moving his army over here to confirm that 12 o'clock can't be taken. He just has these 3 Bactylisks sort of idling over here. These guys could be on gas, but that'll get cleared momentarily by these Calcs anyway, so... Some Vorvs were just sent out as well. Yeah, Shambler's sticking with the 1 tech structure. I mean, he made a Mutat Spire, but he only made Mutas in it, right? And only a little bit. So, Okay, burrowing the workers over here. They weren't contributing very much, but yeah, these calcs are just going to get ambushed. A whole bunch of them just get shredded thanks to the Vith Bactyl comp. And his Droll is actually giving him some very important vision over here as well. Sure, now that'll be revealed by the Vorvs, but I don't even know if Shambler paid attention to that army. Oh, all the Viths are stacked up together. That was a little needless. But remember, all of these units dying, it's actually, for both sides, it's less costly than we initially think because they come from the Kaffirlosk, right? So it's like, yeah, you just get the units for a little bit cheaper, a little bit faster, but you don't get the regression. That's the main thing. And yeah, I like these Vorv raids. It's like, oh yeah, I guess he's probably made only anti-air. Now let me just remind him that anti-ground also needs to be made. He's got a one Bactylisk over there that could get overwhelmed as well. I just don't know what Shambler's plan is. Is he really going to drag us out into Tier 3? This has been such a weird game. Like, I'm really surprised we're still in this game. And a little outdated in terms of the strategy, but still pretty cool, right? Still pretty cool. Obviously, the Bactylists, you don't really want to be engaging them from afar because when the projectile travels a certain amount of range, it gains a bounce. And it can be up to 2 bounces. Well, technically, I think it can be maximum. But again, both players stacking their units up a lot. Now, it doesn't matter as much for Shambler now since it's only bounce and no splash. The Calculus deals... It's pseudo splash, right? It's like it pierces all targets that it collides with on its way to the intended target. So if you pick a target in the back line and there's like 5 units in front in a line sort of shape, which is kind of like weird, but that wouldn't normally happen. But when you stack them up, it increases the likelihood and then you're dealing damage to a bunch of them, right? But this base is just now being set up. I don't think he ended up losing a worker after all to the Vorv Menace, and now he's adding a lot of static defense. There's going to be a Circuit in the back. There's going to be Spear Tits all around. Like, again, we've seen this time and time again. I don't know why Shambler is so needlepoint focused on it, but he's really convinced that the answer to this comes in the form of just mass calc. And we can see that Hamster with Vith, Bactyl, and some calc. I think with some mutas, actually, he would do better than with calcs, but he's unfortunately kind of flummoxed by the control over here. But, like, just looking at this, right, it's just absolutely being shredded. There is no hope for the calcs in this kind of composition. So, that to me is like, I look at that and I think, damn, dude. Like, why are you still doing the 1 unit? Now, he's getting... Okay, he's going up to Alcagelisks, I guess, is going to be his next play. And, honestly, again, think about Viths. Think about their armor rend when they stack it up. Here we go. I hope you're ready for some goddamn spinning. So 12 o'clock is going to be accosted. This is going to force the calcs, which are low in number, right? Because he's dedicating a lot. He's trying to dedicate money towards an Alcagilus, but he actually can't afford any. And now here comes the counterattack to the counterattack. The Viths, again, shredding some armor, taking a lot of damage and shirking it off. It's just not going to matter. I mean, 12 o'clock is just dead. And Shambler once again has to hold on 3 bases. 2 of them have been totally depleted in terms of minerals. He still has not capped his geyser in his main, which is a little surprising. I don't know what he was thinking exactly there. He's got 14 calcs, and this army is just going to dip set, and now he's got to set 12 o'clock back up, resetting that economy constantly, maintaining control over here. You can't just send a worker there. Nobody's even tried to make like a sneaky satellite base somewhere in like the top left or the bottom right. That wouldn't be so sneaky for Hamster at this point. That would just be the next logical location potentially, but it's kind of interesting. Hamster taking stock of the situation in a longer game. It was really awesome, by the way. Shout out to UED Commander for being able to translate for Hamster live in the group stage. I thought that was a really nice touch, and it definitely helped us out a lot. So we've got 2 Alcagelisks here. We don't have any additionals being made, or do we? Okay, it looks like we have a total of 6 or 7. Eat this, he says. Well. Oh my god, they both have Alcagelisks. Well, the Vithralisks are gonna so help. No! How about yes, dude? Make more Viths. Did you see how fucking effective it was? Because they have 6 armor, but not really. Not for very long. It doesn't really matter, though. I totally glazed over the fact that Hamster at Tier 3 was doing the same exact thing as his opponent. And he's just got more economy, so he's got more units. So even without the Vithralisks to help with attack, this is still looking very good for Hamster. And Shambler, try as he might, tism as he might, with his silly Kagrant move, it's not going to be enough. Oh, the committal is here. More Vithrilisks have arrived. Now, those will eventually be brought down by the Alcagelisks, obviously, but yeah, you just can't even fuck with that, right? Not when Bactylisks are also here, is the problem. He should be committing a little bit heavier, I think, but there we go. Get that splash going. You increase the efficacy so much. Well, if he ever goes to 12 o'clock, he can absolutely slap that gas mining. He might think about it doing just that. And yeah, here come the Alcagelisks. Yeah, you know what? I feel like, right? Oh, he's got the Gaphthalos. Nice. So when your units hatch from the hatchery, or the Hatcherosk, right? They're normal. When they hatch from the Kaffralosk, you go straight to the advanced strains, which means you don't need to morph them from, like, say, the base strain, like the way that in default StarCraft 1 Hydra into Lurker. Like, basically, you can make the Lurker directly from the Oxo larva in this equation, right? I mean, obviously, we've changed the tech path a lot, but and from the Hive, the Gaphthalos, you just get double the units. So this will be double Zoroasthaleth when it hatches instead of just one. Or quadruple Zethrakor if you were making two of those. Or just one of those, right? So 4 per egg instead of 2, or 2 per egg instead of 1. Pretty based. Just to prove it. Shambler at 7 Alcagelisks, many of which are... 8 Alcagelisks, many of which are bruised. Dude, the Vith Alcagelisk army is super deadly in the late game, I'll tell you that much. That's true. That's regardless of who you're fighting. Ooh! Insta-slapped. Yeah, look at that. It doesn't take very long to get down to no armor. And at that point, holy shit, are you in trouble. And there is not a single Hydrith den in sight. No, like, it's literally just been Gezkath, Mutath, and he calls GG there. He can't compete. So, you know what? I mean, it wasn't the most explosive ending, but Hamster really showing the power of diversifying your tech, I think. That's the name of the game here. So, obviously, that was a long one. We've got 2 more matches to cast in this set. Join me for that whenever the next time I upload a series in this set is. So, stay tuned.